When I sent the invitation, I rewrote it 3 times before pressing send. The first version sounded too hopeful. The second sounded defensive, as if I already expected rejection. The last one became plain enough to survive either response. Tomorrow evening, 6 p.m. school auditorium, they're giving out the district awards. I'd like you to come if you're free. For a minute, no one replied. Then my father answered, first district award. For what? Surviving attendance sheets. A second message came before I could decide whether to respond. Still just a teacher. My sister added hers almost immediately. We already have dinner plans. A few seconds later, my mother reacted with a thumbs up to my father's message, then nothing else. That small blue icon somehow said more than words. I looked at the screen long enough for it to dim in my hand. Then I typed only, "That's fine." No punctuation after that. No explanation. I put the phone face down and ironed the same shirt twice because my hands needed something ordinary to do. By late afternoon, the school auditorium smelled faintly of polish and paper programs. The stage curtains had been pressed recently, but one corner still hung unevenly. Students moved chairs in straight lines while teachers checked names against printed lists. I had attended many ceremonies before, always helping from the side, organizing certificates, guiding parents, adjusting microphones that never worked on first try. This time they had told me to sit in the front row. Even then, I assumed it was administrative courtesy. At schools, praise often arrives in careful portions, never larger than necessary. I sat with my hands folded and watched people arrive with families carrying flowers, handbags, phones already raised for photographs. Beside me, a mathematics teacher whispered that her sons had taken leave from work to attend. I smiled politely and said I was still waiting. It was easier than explaining. The principal stepped to the podium, read through the early names, then paused longer than expected before the final section. His voice changed slightly, more formal. We also have with us today the regional education director. That surprised even the staff. Heads turned at once. I had seen her only once before at a training session in the city. Precise voice, measured posture. The kind of person whose arrival makes everyone unconsciously sit straighter. She did not remain seated when my category began. Instead, she stood. There was a brief exchange between her and the principal. Then she approached the microphone herself. "I asked to present this one personally," she said. The room became very still. She spoke about rural literacy, numbers first, then teacher retention, then a reading initiative I had submitted last year and almost forgotten because no one at home had considered it worth discussing. The pilot program had been expanded quietly across several schools. I had known it continued. I had not known it had reached her office. When she said my name, applause began before I stood. It sounded strangely distant at first, as though meant for someone a few rows behind me. I walked to the stage aware of my own breathing and of how bright auditorium lights flatten every expression into something almost unreal. She shook my hand and held it a second longer than protocol required. "We'll be recommending you for provincial review next term," she said softly, near enough that only I heard it. Then the official photographer asked us to face forward. The flash went off 3 times. By then, several phones in the audience were already recording, far across town. While plates arrived at a restaurant table, my father was apparently scrolling between messages out of habit. Later, my sister would tell me how it happened. He had been half listening to her describe someone's engagement when he suddenly stopped moving. The screen reflected against his glasses. He lowered the phone, then raised it again as if the image might change. On the district education office page was the photograph already posted me on stage, certificate in hand, standing beside the regional director. The caption named the literacy project, the district award, and the recommendation for provincial recognition. My father stared long enough that my sister asked what happened. His voice came out uncertain. "What is this?" No one answered immediately because the answer was visible. My mother leaned over first. My sister later admitted she thought at first it must be someone else who looked like me. The authority in the picture removed that possibility. People trust official symbols more than family stories. A blazer, a podium seal, a government insignia, sometimes that changes what years of explanation cannot. By the time I reached home, the house was quiet. Their shoes were near the door, meaning they had returned before me. The dining room light was still on. My certificate stayed in its folder under my arm. No one spoke when I entered. My father looked at the folder first, then at me, not with apology exactly, but with a kind of caution I had never seen directed my way. "You didn't say," he began, then stopped. I placed the folder on the table, not opening it. "I did," I said. No anger came with it, just fact. My mother touched the edge of the folder but did not open it either. My sister asked, almost too casually, "That woman on stage, the official one, she knows you?" I pulled out a chair and sat down because suddenly standing felt unnecessary. "She knows the project." That answer seemed to settle nowhere comfortably. My father gave a short nod, as if assembling a version of me he had delayed too long. There was no dramatic apology, no sudden warmth, only a silence that had changed shape. For years, silence in that house had meant dismissal. That night it meant they were finally forced to think without speaking first. I went to my room before anyone found better words. The certificate remained downstairs until morning.